What's going on, everybody? This is a bit of a strange turn of events, but this is my go-kart. I thought I'd bring it out to revive it after many years of sitting. This go-kart project was actually built by myself while I was in university as part of my training going through school, and it's kind of sat ever since. I got out to one track day many years ago and had a blast doing it, but since just been sitting in the garage here where I film all the Calvin MC content up against the roof in this hanging carriage device that I've used to store the thing. But today we're going to bring it out to revive it. Now, it's not perfect. This is not a purchased cart. Like, no parts on this cart were bought besides like the axle, the brake components, the gears and things like that, but the whole frame, pedal work assembly, all the linkage and steering and everything was built by myself and another friend that I went to school with. So this has been a long project. It's close to my heart because I just put so many hours into this thing, and today we're going to revive it. Part of the reason I want to revive it is so that I can learn to be a better driver. I'd love to get this out at the go-kart track and improve my driving and really just take my driving to the next level. It needs some fresh gas, needs the carb cleaned, and who knows what else. I hope you enjoy this deviation from the motorcycle content, but this is just kind of what I do. There's a lot of things going on in my life, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. Now let's go. Carb off. Now, cleaning a carb like this is very easy. The outside is very simple. This is your choke. This is your throttle. You see throttle? Very narrow opening there. It's very restrictive carb. This is your fuel shutoff, basically on or off, allowing fuel into the carb. This is your carb drain, and this is how you take off the bowl. It's just a 10 mil to get the bottom of the bowl off. It does have a little washer on it on the bottom, so it seals the gas in place, so don't lose that washer. Bowl. This is the float. It's what hangs and regulates how much fluid comes into your carburetor. To get the float off, you push the pin out the side, float out. It's got a little needle here, rubber tip, make sure it's intact. Now you've got two holes to clean. You've got your main jet right here, and you've got your fuel inlet right here that your needle regulates the amount of gas coming into your carb. Also make sure the O-ring going around the carburetor that seals to the bowl is intact and in good shape. You got a little idle adjust or mixture control hole on the side here we're going to clean. Then you just have two like air regulation jets, one in here and one over here. Get your cleaner. You know you clear out the blockage once it's got flow through to the other side. And I think that's it. Now with everything clean, to reassemble it, it's the reverse of disassembly. So first thing you gotta do, take your bowl, make sure this needle is nice and clean and the spring action works well. Just lightly rest it into its spot. It should slide right in. There we go. Get the pin lined up. There's nothing that holds the pin in place, like no bolt or anything, but simply the shape of the bowl restricts it from popping out. So it's a neat design. Put this in, get your new bolt, make sure the washer's on there. This doesn't have to be super tight. I often just do it up while I'm holding the carb, like so. There we go. Carb cleaned. Now, one of the vital things this motor needs is engine oil, like duh. I've parked it without oil because it leaks out the crankcase, so gonna have to put some aluminum foil underneath it. This motor, as you notice, when they use a GX motor for a go-kart, they tilt them forward so you get better oil circulation because the conrod sits in more of the oil and you basically get more splashing. But because of that, we don't put the same amount of oil in. You can't really use the dipstick the same way you can on a motor that's level. So this motor only needs about 350 milliliters of oil, and that's just what we put in. So now, on to fuel. We've cleaned the carb, just gotta fill the gas tank and prime the lines. Well, let's give it a shot anyways. We know some of it made it into the carb. Oh, turn this thing on. Bruh.
Okay, it's alive.
Just snapped the recoil mechanism off. The cord, right in my hand. So as you just saw, I snapped off the handle, or at least I ripped the cord. The hand was going through the handle here. So I've used some electrical tape. I fished the broken end out from the housing, used some electrical tape to fish it through the handle. Now I'm just gonna tie a new knot and hope it doesn't break again. God, just one problem after another. It's alive. It happened again. It snapped off again. You see? And that's a wrap on reviving my go-kart. I kind of forgot how fast this thing is. This one cylinder is really torquey. Of course, I ride vehicles that are 4, 6 cylinder, and I forget just how thumpy a one cylinder can be. I forgot every single pulse of power of this thing. You can feel it just tup, 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 tup. This thing could really use a better car because there's not a lot of partial throttle power. It's either at idle and you're on decel, or it's full throttle. This is a bat, bat, bat. So it makes it fun because mid-corner you can break the back end loose, and that's really good. But it's not so great for getting on power gently or being quiet around a neighborhood. Wonder who would need to do that. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing something that I've made with my own 2 hands. I hope it inspires you to go out there and make some of your own stuff. This was a long project. If I recall correctly, it took about 140 hours of man hours of basically between me and my other friend. This was a long, long project because we started from scratch. Like, we had the layout for the frame. We had plans to make the frame. We did, and we had to bend all the tube, weld everything together. So if you didn't do everything like that, you bought a frame, this could come together a lot quicker. And I'd highly recommend, if you're gonna do this and you wanna go karting and like improve your driving, I'd highly recommend buying a used racing frame online somewhere and then putting the parts on. All the parts that I added to this, like the axle and the hubs and the brakes and the chain and all that stuff and the clutch for the motor, is all pretty cheap and pretty readily available. The hard things to do are like the machining work that we did, like to fit the steering column and figure out the geometry of the front end, which admittedly right now still isn't perfect because it understeers and it's just kind of a mess sometimes. That's kind of the way it goes with a machine that you make with your own 2 hands. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy watching this because I sure had a blast reviving this thing. And yeah, as you saw, there was many hurdles between the gas being like junk and having to get rid of that, cleaning the carb, having the cable snap on me not once but twice. Really makes me think I should figure out how to get an electric start on this thing, because the single cylinder, I've milled the cylinder head to make it a high compression motor, so it's very hard to turn over. That's why it gets nasty backfires too, because it's just advanced timing, high compression head. It just snaps the cable or really hurts your hand when it breaks the plastic out of your hand. But it seems to be fine to sit in storage for another 5 years. No, I'm kidding. I hope to get it out at the track sometime this season. Me and my friend are going to hopefully do that this year. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy the next installation that's coming out on the go-kart in a few months probably when we get this thing out to the track. As always, thanks for watching and have a good day.